3 years ago, they had a golden opportunity to make the NBA Finals. They were up 3-2 on a bad Cavs team. Kevin Love was injured. And then LeBron stole their souls in games 6 and 7, including in Boston. Last year, they had a golden opportunity to make the NBA Finals, and they couldn't get past the Miami Heat. And this year, as we approach the All-Star break, they're sub 500, despite having 2 All-Stars in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and a great coach in Brad Stevens. So, Jenna Wolf, I have good news, bad news. Good news is you might actually get to talk to Danny Ainge. Bad news is it won't be as GM of the Celtics. It'll be as NBA analyst because the Celtics should move on from Danny Ainge. It's over. Kevin McHale is not walking through that door to gift you Kevin Garnett.
I kind of agree with him, Jenna.
The franchise has one title since the fall of the Berlin Wall. They are under 500. It's a bad roster.
No. You got to give him time.
Face
Look
reality.
at that guy. That's not a loser, Nick.
No.
That guy is not a loser. Give him some time.
Just because it was your high school crush.
He's letting them flourish. He's my high school crush. He's my middle-age crush. He'll be my old woman crush.
Yeah.
I like Danny Ainge. That's neither here nor there. I'm thinking basketball first.
I got it, need to move on. Go ahead.
It's over. It's over.
No.
Nick is right. Nick is right.
They got to move on, Jenna.
We'll wait and see this turnaround from 500. All right, let's play a little drawing a blank. That was awful, by the way, Nick, and wrong. It was just wrong. Talk some J.J. Watt. Hey, would Kansas City be a good destination for a J.J.? Chiefs D lineman Chris Jones seems to think so. Said Watt is his favorite player and that he'd love to play with him. Brandon, J.J. Watt on the Chiefs would be blank.
I mean, can I use, like, hand signals and stuff? Like, It's like shoulder shrug, like, you know, does it matter? You know, 2018, 16 sacks. 2019, 4 sacks. 2020, you had 5 sacks. So, like, Nick, like, what J.J. Watt are we getting? You know, I know we have the big name, and I know he's phenomenal, 2, 3-time, maybe 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. A guy that I once said could potentially go down as the greatest defensive lineman ever. This was a dude who would wreck an entire game. This is a dude that would take away the whole side of a field. So like, if you're thinking about that J.J. Watt, then you're like, oh, my goodness, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be right back in the Super Bowl. But I don't know what J.J. Watt we're getting when you look at the statistics and you look at what he's been doing from 2018 to today. So, Nick, I don't know, man.
That's right.
Shrug.
So listen, the Chiefs will obviously be right back in the Super Bowl with or without him. And you don't know which version you're going to get. But I would say it would be good for JJ to go from the dysfunction of the Texans organization to the Super Bowl favorites in the AFC, the Super Bowl favorites according to Vegas overall in the whole league, and to have, I would argue, as far as leadership, Tyrann Mathieu on the back end who played with JJ, and JJ on the D-line alongside Chris Jones and Frank Clark. I think even if he's not even close to a double-digit sack guy would help the team. But more importantly, going from Bill O'Brien and the coaches he's had down in Houston to Andy Reid and the organization of the Chiefs would be great for JJ. And he would bonus take Brandon Marshall or Brandon Flowers that you're going to like. He would go from a wildly, historically overrated barbecue city, Houston, to the greatest barbecue city in America, Kansas City, Missouri. So how about that? Brandon Flowers, I know you agree with me.
Oh, my goodness.
I agree. And I agree with a lot of things you said right there, Nick. And for me, J.J. Watt coming to the Kansas City Chiefs, if they can make that happen, it's a championship move. Like you mentioned, Nick, the leadership that he will bring to this defense will be valuable for this defense. And B. Marshall, I'm not worried about him getting too many sacks, but he can be a run stuffer. Kansas City struggles stopping the run this year, but teams just don't continue to run the ball the whole game. So I look for him to come in and be a run stopper. And we know Brandon Marshall is players. Coaches don't get the best out of us. Other players get the best out of us. So him going with Chris Jones on that interior defensive line, they'll be able to push each other. Chris Jones will be learning how to be even more of a pro, and they will push the pocket so Frank Clark can get more pressure on the edge. So I think this will be a championship move for the Chiefs if they can make this happen.
And you keep going on undisputed. boy, you better spend more time with us.
Talk some Drew Brees. How about Drew Brees' future somehow, someway, still undecided? Saints running back Alvin Kamara said Drew's going to take his time and make the best decision for him. Brandon, the best option for Drew Brees next season is blank.
Look, organic, natural joke is never good a second time around, so I'm not even going to try to do it. I mean, it wasn't even a joke. It was just a classical moment. Every morning, we get up at 4:30 to prepare for this show. We have a 5 a.m. production meeting. The whole team, so me, Jenna, Nick, we got our producer, Ketta, Sam. We got so many other people out there that's helping us prepare for this show, and we go over, okay, here's the topics. And so I'm on the Zoom call. I don't have my screen on. I have mute on. I turned my phone on mute. And then all of a sudden, Ketta says, okay, so we're going to do fill and draw in the blank. And then he said, Drew Brees retiring. And I said, hold up, what? What are we talking about here? Is this even a question? Like, I'm speechless because I thought he already retired. I literally thought that this dude already retired. He spent an hour on the field after the game, forehead with his wife, like, baby, thank you. And he takes a pay cut. He makes $1 million. What is going on here? Drew Brees, what is going on? I'm speechless.
Yeah, speaking of speeches, the best option for him is the speech circuit. I think Drew Brees probably gets 50 to 60 grand per speech to go and talking to businesses, can give a speech on leadership, and then end it with the way he famously would do the hoorah speech with the Saints right before games. It would be wildly popular, make a bunch of money, not get hit, spend more time with his wife. So I don't think a TV booth. I think a speech circuit. Probably peel about $500,000 a year if he were $5 million a year, pardon me, if he wanted to doing it. Do that, because I don't think he's playing quarterback anymore, Brandon.
I agree. My best option for Drew Brees is San Diego. And I understand the Chargers not there anymore, but that's where his home is. So I agree with you guys when you said he needs to retire. And he got quarterback money. Go ahead, if you're having some little midlife crisis where you want to play, just buy you another mansion. You can afford it. And just enjoy the fruits of your labor that you have been able to accumulate throughout the NFL. You know, his career hasn't been like Brady's, you know, not even going into awards, Super Bowls, and championships. It's just that Brees is getting hit right now. So he's breaking ribs, playing through pain. That's not what Brady is doing right now. Brady is not getting hit. He's feeling comfortable in a pocket. Right. So that's why I think he needs to lean towards retirement and don't even think about playing 2 or maybe 3 more years like Tom Brady is doing right now. Just enjoy your fruits of your labor, Drew.
Speaking of Brady, let's talk some Tampa Bay. Super Bowl champ Chris Godwin had this to say on his pending free agency. The goal is obviously to get paid, right? So, Brandon, the team you want to see Chris Godwin on next season is blank.
Yeah, so preparing for this, I just start thinking about the scenarios, and I try to put on my Nick Wright resident GM hat, and I'm like, the Bucs makes the most sense. But I knew that Nick was probably going to combat me and say, well, Brandon, doesn't make sense because you got guys on the other side of the ball that, contribute to this Super Bowl that you have to sign back. So how do you put so much money into that? And then all of a sudden, this morning, I see a report that the Bucs are trying to restructure and extend Tom Brady. Because what I was thinking before I saw that report was, Tom Brady, do you really need all that money? Why don't you take less and give him more, right? So you can keep this going. Like, it's a game at this point. You know, you're winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl. So, Nick, the resident GM hat in me says that, maybe they're restructuring so he can give more money to Chris Godwin and keep his guys around. So I'm going with the Bucs.
Well, the resident GM in me says some actual GM is going to overpay for Chris Godwin to make him their .1 receiver when the .1 receiver in Tampa is clearly Mike Evans. So I say the Colts. The Colts just invested in Carson Wentz. T.Y. Hilton got banged up again this past year, wasn't super productive. They haven't had a true .1 in Indy, I would argue, since Reggie Wayne. So I think the Colts, who should be the favorites in their division next year, if Wentz can be anything close to, forget 2017, his 2018 or 19 self, They need a legitimate number one receiver. They have the money. I say the Colts, Brandon.
I'm going with the Eagles here. You know, the Eagles have been a team who have been just killed by their wide receivers with injury. They've been bringing guys off the street, you know, that play quarterback, that play them at receivers, guys that work at Pompey Park is playing receiver for them throughout the year. And Nick Sirianni comes in as the head coach, knows my guy needs weapons. Whether it's going to be Jalen Hurts, and I maybe don't have to draft a receiver top 10 my pick, I might can go quarterback because everyone knows if you're a head coach in Philly, you're on a short leash, whether you win the Super Bowl or not. So bringing a guy that you know can get the job done at receiver, don't have the pressure of bringing in the receiver with your top 10 pick, and that would just be the perfect fit for what you're trying to do going forward.
All right, let's move on to Antoine Winfield, the Super Bowl champ, the peace sign revenge artist. Look what the Bucs safety did. And I mean, look what they did. This is a forever, forever remember winning Super Bowl 55 moment. That is a forever tattoo. Tom Brady responded on Instagram seeing this with, make sure you save room. So Brandon, Antoine Winfield Jr.'s Super Bowl tattoo is blank. It's intense.
Bruh, that's what it is, Jenna. Straight Ebonics. Bruh, what's going on right now? Like, you know, Brandon, you know.